Alright, how's it going, everybody? We're back here on some Modern Warfare 2, and today I've got a pretty interesting story to tell. I'm sure you put the subject and the title of this video so you know what to expect, and if you follow me on Twitter, you've already seen this story, actually. Follow me on Twitter, by the way. But yeah, I figured this would make for a pretty interesting video, considering we're all just sitting around waiting for Season 1 anyway. I'm actually gonna run around an invasion for this video, and probably just level some weapons up while I'm talking about this or whatever. I actually just finished recording my last video right before doing this one, and if you saw that one, I don't really want to be around for whatever skill-based matchmaking has in store for me in 6v6. And also, while we're searching here, if you do enjoy this video, definitely make sure you leave a like. And if you're new and you like what you see, then subscribe for more Modern Warfare 2 content. So anyway, as far as this story goes, this video is going to be pretty interesting for me to make, I think. For one thing, I'm not even sure if I'm going to end up releasing it. I might record this and just not do it. Or I might end up uploading it and taking it down like 3 days later. And the reason for this is that, like, this story I would say is 90% not my fault and then maybe like 10% my fault. At least that's how I feel about it in my head anyway. The reason why this thought process may end up changing is, you know, I might go sit down to edit this and then like listen to myself talk about it and realize like, oh no, it's actually more like 90% my fault. Or, you know, something to that effect. Or maybe people who end up watching the video feel that way and it'll be a bunch of comments being like, bro, you're just such a fucking moron. Why did you do this? If you had just done it this way, it would have been better. And like, whether or not that's true, I may just not feel like putting up with it, because I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit upset about this story. Oh god, that's a juggernaut. But anyway, enough of me rambling. In short, the TLDR of this story is that I ended up getting offered a job by none other than MrBeast, the biggest YouTuber on the entire platform, and then for whatever reason, rather than actually give me the job, the team decided to ghost me and then rescind the job offer with no explanation. The last half of that is me conjecturing. I don't know if they actually rescinded the job offer or if they just said fuck it. Also, it's worth noting that MrBeast himself didn't actually do any of this. It was his, like, team or whatever. But it makes for better clickbait saying it this way, so that's what we're going with. I'm sure he won't mind. And, you might be thinking to yourself, well, how is any of this your fault? And nothing I just described is. The part that's my fault is as a result of this whole fucking thing, in addition to not having a job with MrBeast, I'm also currently unemployed. Yeah. So anyway, I will do my best to like go through the events in chronological order and explain to you guys how exactly this fucking happened. So back in like August, I want to say, it might not exactly be August, I can put the video on screen here, but MrBeast uploaded a video to one of his channels that was called something along the lines of how to work for MrBeast. In the description of the video, it did have a link to like his website, and like on it they had a careers page, I guess, or whatever. So yeah, I saw the video, I saw the link in the description, I ended up checking it out, because for anybody who doesn't know, and I'm not sure if I've even talked about this on here before, but what I had been doing up until that point was essentially freelance editing, which was fine, and I was making like okay money doing it, but at the time I saw this video, I was looking for something more full-time and like consistent, and I figured, you know, if I'm looking for something full-time anyway, why the hell not go for something with the biggest YouTuber on the platform? So I threw in an application, sent in some like examples of work that I'd done, I think. I don't remember exactly what the application process looked like, but I threw it in, and honestly, I didn't really expect much of it. Like I said, I've been looking for a job for a while. It's pretty commonplace to apply for things like this and just never fucking hear back, you know what I mean? But to my absolute surprise, I actually did end up hearing back, and I got scheduled for a virtual interview in early September. It was gonna be with like a hiring manager on his team, I guess. So the day of the interview finally rolls around, and you know, I do the interview, and honestly, I thought it went pretty well. I'd say as far as interviews go, it was pretty casual, and I'd like to think that I hit it off with the recruiter or whoever that I was talking to. And then towards the end of the interview, something interesting happened. At the time of the interview, I actually happened to be visiting my family at their vacation home, and I sort of just mentioned this in passing. I don't remember exactly how this came up in the conversation, but it was like, you know, she asked me about what I was up to or something. I was like, oh, you know, I'm actually visiting my parents at so-and-so. After which she said, oh, that's really close to our headquarters. How about instead of another virtual interview over Zoom, we just have you come out to the warehouse and you can meet the team and we can get to know you that way. So at this point, I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be sick, right? Because for one thing, I haven't had an in-person interview since before COVID, I believe. Plus, I get to go see MrBeast Complex. Like, honestly, I mean, this shit couldn't even be going any fucking better for me, right? So a week goes by, I have to sign some like NDAs to not disclose the location or like any of the videos he's working on or whatever. At least I think that's what was in them. I hope they didn't say I'm not allowed to talk about it at all. Otherwise, this whole video is fucked. But yeah, after like a bunch of paperwork was signed, and I promised not to just bring a whole bunch of fans out to his warehouse to like harass him or whatever, the day finally comes and I end up going out to his warehouse to meet his team. So I went out to meet his team under the assumption that this was going to be like an interview process, right? I was going to meet the team and they were going to be screening me to essentially see if I was going to be a good fit, if I, you know, was even able to do the job that I claimed I was able to do, right? Which, by the way, for anybody who's wondering, I applied to be an editor, just in case anybody thinks I applied for some job that I have like no qualifications for. So anyway, yeah, I go in expecting like a traditional interview process, but what ends up happening is I meet the hiring manager who I'd interviewed with previously and had invited me out, and pretty quickly after I got there, she ended up dropping me off with the editing team, and I essentially ended up spending the rest of the day shadowing one of his team members. And I'm not gonna lie, on the whole, it was a pretty positive experience. Everybody on the team that I met was very, very nice. They were super helpful. They showed me around, you know, sort of gave me the ropes ropes on like how everything worked. And yeah, like I said, on the whole, it was just really cool. But the one thing that was really weird was that nobody on the team seemed to be under the impression that I was there for an interview. The person that I was actually shadowing, apparently for the first 2 hours I was hanging out with him, he was under the impression that I had already been hired, which created some kind of interesting conversation scenarios because for most of our like conversations, I was talking as if I hadn't been selected yet, right? Which in my head was the case. You know, I didn't want to sound like conceited as if I already got the job or anything. So I kept saying things like, oh, you know, if you guys choose to go forward with me or things like that. But apparently he was like taking that to mean like I got the job and like didn't want to work there or whatever. So then we ended up having to straighten that out, which was kind of odd. But like I said, on the whole, aside from that, it was a pretty positive experience. So anyway, I ended up spending about like 5 or 6 hours at the headquarters or something, hanging out with the editing team, like learning how they do stuff and whatnot. I got to see some cool stuff about some projects that at the time I think were upcoming. I'm pretty sure they're basically all out at this point. I might be wrong about that. I don't want to like fuck up some NDA shit here. And yeah, after that visit, I ended up just driving home to play the waiting game. Now this is where things start getting a little weird. So about a week or two goes by and like I follow up a couple times just to check in, but I don't really hear anything. And eventually I started to think like maybe I'd gotten ghosted or something bad had happened. But to my surprise, once again, the team ended up getting back to me and they actually offered me the job. They didn't send me like a contract or anything, but the hiring manager that I'd initially interviewed with sent me an email explicitly stating that they were offering me the position. And on top of that, the member of MrBeast's team that I had been like shadowing on the day that I visited, he actually ended up giving me his cell phone number before I left. And we were like texting back and forth and stuff. And he was talking about how, you know, he was excited to have me on the team. And, you know, if I worked hard, there was definitely opportunity for growth and all this stuff. And he couldn't wait to have me around. So, you know, all in all, I was thinking, okay, this went about as well as it possibly could have. Now, this is the part of the story where I fuck up a little bit. After receiving all of this, like, basically confirmation that I'm getting this job, I ended up notifying the guy who I was doing contract work with at the time. Basically, I'd been getting most of my contract work through one person, and I was essentially working with him project to project. These projects were like longer term. They were usually either series of videos or like one big video that would take a lot of work. And at the time that I like got the offer, or thought I'd gotten the offer, we were about a week out from delivering the project that we were currently working on. So the day after all of this like happened, just to be nice, I basically let the guy know, you know, hey, I got like an offer for a really cool position. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to continue doing these projects, so I just wanted to give you a heads up so you can like start working on finding somebody else. Which, you know, that's like the courteous thing to do, right? You don't drop that on somebody's head out of nowhere. You give them some time to process it so that they can like, you know, find a replacement or like prep for not having you around or whatever. Like, I don't know, I thought that was the correct thing to do. But unfortunately, the story takes a turn for the worse here, because after this series of like messages and emails and, you know, whatever, basically saying, hey, you got the job, we can't wait to have you around, I didn't hear another word from these people for 2 months almost. And this is after like multiple follow-ups. I sent this hiring manager God knows how many fucking emails over the course of the 2 months just asking for any kind of update on the situation. I even tried texting that member of the team again, and he, the first time, didn't end up even replying to my message, just like, you know, left me on red or whatever. And so now I'm stressed the fuck out. I'm thinking like, oh my God, did I fuck up? Did like something terrible happen? Like, what the hell's going on? And this goes by for like a month, and at this point, you know, if somebody doesn't talk to you for a month, you can kind of assume you just didn't get the job, right? Or like they rescinded it or whatever. So I reached back out to the guy I was like getting the contract work through and was like, hey, you know, the job I was talking about, it didn't end up working out. And he was like, oh, I'm really sorry. I already found somebody else and I'm like giving him your projects now. So now I'm shit out of luck on that front. Wait, what the hell was this guy doing? He's just standing staring in the corner. What, was he in timeout? But yeah, so essentially like, okay, contract gig's gone. I don't really have anything like immediately in the pipeline at this point. So I think, okay, you know what? Let me just try texting this guy one more time. I know he didn't reply to me last time, but what could it hurt? So I reach out to him one more time, and this is like maybe 2 months since the day that I'd actually like gone in to, you know, meet the team or whatever. And to my surprise, this time he actually got back to me. Get out of the corner, you fucking freak. But yeah, this time he actually got back to me, and I'm not gonna lie, what he told me didn't really make me too happy. Because he didn't say like, oh, there was a mistake, you know, we'll offer you the job right away. And he didn't even say something along the lines of like, oh yeah, sorry, like, we didn't have the head count to like give you the position, or like, they closed the job or whatever, so we couldn't like end up hiring you, or really sorry for the misunderstanding. What he said essentially boils down to, hey, really sorry, we got very busy over the last month and basically forgot about you. Yeah, I'm not joking, I'm not making this up. Apparently they got very busy with something, I don't know, I'm assuming videos or whatever, and for whatever reason, in the process of getting so busy, and in spite of the fact that I had reached out to the team multiple times to try and figure out what the fuck was going on, they just forgot about me as a candidate and started interviewing other people for the job that they had already offered me. So yeah, as I'm sure you can understand, I'm a little bit tilted about this whole situation. I try not to be a vindictive person or like blame people for things that aren't their fault, but I've lost a fair amount of respect for MrBeast over this, even though I know like it's technically not his fault. Like I like I said at the beginning of the video, he himself had basically nothing to do with my hiring process. Actually, he wasn't even in the building on the day that I went to visit. I think he was off filming something. But still, it's just like, dude, if this is how you run your company, like, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's fucking pathetic. Because I have had some fucking terrible hiring experiences over the years. Like, I've also done, like, freelance stuff over the years and worked for contractors where, like, people tried not to pay me or, like, tried to, like, lie about paying me when they didn't, and all kinds of horror stories like that. But I'm not gonna lie, this might be the most unprofessional hiring experience I've ever had in my life. I've never even heard, actually, of somebody getting offered a job and then the team basically just telling them to go fuck themselves. And not because they did anything wrong, like, not because they, you know, made some stupid-ass post on social media or some shit like that, but literally just because they got forgotten about for reasons undisclosed. Like, I don't know, you guys might feel differently about this, and, you know, feel free to let me know in the comments section if you think, like, this whole fucking situation is my fault or whatever. I am willing to accept responsibility for not having a contract gig anymore. I probably should have waited. But even then, I mean, like, if you get offered a job in that capacity, you have a hiring manager telling you you're getting the job, and the guy who's gonna be your boss basically texting you, telling you how excited he is to have you around, I feel like assuming you got the job isn't, like, that far-fetched. But I don't know, you guys let me know what you think, because I don't know, this whole fucking situation has just been absolute dog shit. And the worst thing is I can't even do anything about it. Because, like, I definitely don't have the following required to, like, make an actual stink about this. You know, like I said, I tweeted about it, and, you know, yeah, my followers cared, and I got some sympathy in, like, DMs and whatever, but it's not like anything's gonna change. Not that I'm really sure anything would change. I mean, I don't even want the job at this point. But yeah, I think, like, the most frustrating part about this whole thing is that there's just literally nothing I can do about it. And it feels like there is absolutely nobody who really cares that has any power to do anything. So anyway, yeah, TLDR, MrBeast ended up offering me a job, and then for whatever reason, forgot about me, decided I wasn't worth it, whatever, and just fucking ghosted me. And now I'm unemployed. As a side note though, talking this out has gotten me a lot of weapon XP for this thing. I'm basically almost done. And yeah, that's about it for this one. Thanks for listening to my unhinged rambling about this fucking stupid ass thing that has happened to me. If any of you even care or have made it this far in the video, I don't know. Maybe some of you guys fucking clicked off at this point and were just like, ah, this guy's complaining about nothing. Or if this even exists. I mean, like I said, I might not even upload this after looking at it, or I don't know, maybe I'll upload it for a day and then fucking delete it because I hate it. But as always, if you did enjoy this video, definitely make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you want to come back for more content. That's about it. I'll see you guys in the next one.